Now, this question of your past paper is dealing about the copper sulfate solution testing, right? So in the testing, we know what? In the testing, we know that we have to test the positive ions and the negative ions separately, right? So copper ions is the positive ion we test it. And we can also test the sulfate ion separately, right? We can test copper ion by the flame test, right? There are very few elements which give flame colors, right? Such as lithium gives, right? Such as sodium gives a yellowish color, potassium gives a lilac color, right? Calcium gives a brick red color, copper gives a greenish color, the greenish flame, right? So these are the flame test, right? But you know what? Confirmatory test is the best test for the positive ions, right? Which you do in the presence of what? Sodium hydroxide. So when we take sodium hydroxide, right, what happens? It it can give a white precipitate. It can give a colored precipitate, right? What the colored precipitate we know? Fe plus 2, Fe plus 3, copper, right? This gives a color precipitate, right? White precipitate who gives you? Aluminum ions, magnesium ions, calcium ion gives you a white precipitate. So see, they're saying that a solution of copper sulfate is allowed to the a solution is added. Name the solution added. So sodium hydroxide. What's the result? The copper ions, if it is there, it will be giving a blue precipitate. So that's the way we test the positive ions of the copper, right? For the copper. And it's a very, very important case where sulfate ions are there. We have to know that somehow we can prepare barium sulfate, right? Barium sulfate is a precipitate, it's a solid, it does not dissolve in water. So somehow we can take the sulfate ion, right? And we have to convert to barium sulfate. If sulfate ion is there, if you can combine it with barium to give you barium sulfate, that will be a confirmatory test for sulfate ions, right? Show one test to show the presence of sulfate ions in copper sulfate solution. What we do? We add barium chloride, right? In acidified conditions. Prior to that, we have to take acidified conditions because the carbonate ions, if it is contaminated, right, that can be eliminated by adding an acid, right? We can add HCl also, right, over here to eliminate. Then what we do? Then we add barium chloride. When we add barium chloride, it gives you barium sulfate. This barium sulfate is a white colored precipitate over here, right? So this is a very important chapter, right? You have to master, right? Thank you so much.